Did you know the EU has 4 presidents? It's not a riddle, just the reality of Europe's unique power structure. Instead of a single leader, the EU splits authority among several roles: the presidents of the Commission, Parliament, Central Bank, and the rotating Council Presidency. This system balances the interests of 27 nations, but often leaves outsiders wondering, who's really in charge? Right now, Denmark holds the rotating presidency, a small nation with a big say if only for 6 months. For a country known for its cautious approach to EU integration, this is a notable moment. How will Denmark's leadership style shape the EU's agenda? Welcome to Geo Capitalist, where we decode global power shifts. Today, we'll unravel the EU's rotating leadership and see how Denmark is steering the continent's priorities. From migration to climate and digital policy, Copenhagen's influence could ripple across Europe. Oh, and if you enjoy breakdowns like this, don't forget to subscribe. Let's dive in. Denmark? Leading Europe? It's unexpected, especially with Germany and France usually in the spotlight. The EU's design gives every member state, big or small, a chance to lead through the rotating presidency. Every 6 months, a new country chairs meetings, brokers deals, and sets the council's agenda. This isn't just symbolic. Denmark's ministers will guide negotiations on everything from trade to climate. The presidency tests a different leadership model, Denmark's consensus-driven pragmatic style. In a polarized world, this approach could be exactly what the EU needs. Copenhagen's priorities are ambitious, reflecting Europe's biggest challenges. The next 6 months will show if quiet leadership can make a loud impact. Sometimes, the smallest countries can drive the biggest changes. Let's see what Denmark brings to the table. What is the rotating presidency? Think of it as political musical chairs. Every 6 months, a new country sets the EU's agenda. This system ensures all 27 members, regardless of size, get a turn to lead. It's rooted in the EU's founding principle, equality among nations. The rotation is planned years in advance, giving each country time to prepare. For Denmark, this is the result of meticulous planning and coordination. The presidency means shifting focus from national interests to the collective good. It keeps the EU dynamic, with fresh perspectives every half year. By passing the baton, the EU avoids stagnation and encourages cooperation. Each presidency is a chance to strengthen European unity. That's how the EU keeps moving forward, one country at a time. The presidency isn't just a title. It's a demanding job. Denmark's ministers chair meetings, mediate disputes, and drive the council's legislative work. The main task: act as an honest broker, finding compromises among 27 diverse nations. It's about listening, negotiating, and building consensus day in, day out. The presidency also represents the council in negotiations with Parliament and the Commission, shaping final EU laws. Success isn't about pushing national interests, but moving the whole union forward. For Denmark, it's a chance to showcase its efficient, pragmatic governance. The real measure: can Denmark help Europe make progress together? The presidency is about results, not rhetoric. That's the real job at the heart of the EU. To keep things stable, the presidency works as part of a trio, 3 countries teaming up for 18 months. This system, introduced by the Treaty of Lisbon, ensures long-term planning and smooth transitions. The trio sets shared goals, so the agenda doesn't swing wildly every 6 months. Each country still has its own priorities, but within a common framework. For Denmark, this means close coordination with its predecessor and successor. The trio system helps smaller states pool resources and expertise. It's a relay race, not a solo sprint. Cooperation is built into the process. This approach keeps the Council focused on long-term challenges. Denmark isn't steering alone. It's part of a well-coordinated team. That's the EU's unique brand of politics. Collaboration at every level. Why Denmark, and why now? It's simply their turn in the EU's rotation, planned years in advance. Denmark's presidency is the result of careful preparation and alignment with EU priorities. The country's relationship with the EU is unique, pragmatic, sometimes skeptical, with key opt-outs. Now, Denmark steps up to lead during a time of major challenges: geopolitical tensions, green transition, and digital regulation. This isn't Denmark's first presidency, but the stakes are higher than ever. Its leadership will be tested by urgent, complex issues facing Europe. Denmark's reputation for efficiency and consensus building is on the line. Can the Danish model work for all of Europe? The presidency is both a duty and a chance to shape the continent's future. All eyes are on Copenhagen. Let's see what they do with their moment at the helm. When we say Denmark is leading Europe, it's crucial to understand what that means within the EU's unique structure. This isn't traditional leadership, imposing will from the top down. Instead, EU leadership is about influence, facilitation, and persuasion. It's the power to set the agenda and guide governments toward agreement. The real influence lies in being a neutral mediator. Danish ministers become key conveners, deciding agenda priorities. This agenda-setting power is significant, shaping EU policy. Leadership here is about building trust and consensus. It requires diplomatic work to understand each country's limits and compromises. Denmark's ability to build bridges will measure its leadership. This quiet leadership might be what the EU needs now. Denmark's leadership will be defined by managing the EU efficiently, delivering results for its citizens. This is the essence of leading in Europe: to enable, not command. At the very top of Denmark's agenda is the green transition, where the country has long been a global pioneer, particularly in wind energy. For its presidency, Denmark aims to accelerate the European Union's shift towards a sustainable and climate-neutral economy. It's intrinsically linked to energy security and strategic autonomy. By speeding up the rollout of renewables and investing in energy efficiency, the European Union can reduce its reliance on volatile external suppliers, positioning Europe as a leader in the global green industrial revolution. Denmark's green agenda is about demonstrating that climate action and economic prosperity can go hand in hand. Beyond the green agenda, Denmark is placing a strong emphasis on navigating the complexities of the digital age. The European Union has recently passed landmark legislation like the Digital Services Act and the Digital Markets Act, designed to create a safer and more competitive online environment. Denmark's presidency will focus on implementation and enforcement, ensuring the new rules are applied effectively across all 27 member states. A key priority is the emerging field of artificial intelligence. With the EU's AI Act nearing its final stages, Denmark will play a pivotal role in steering the last rounds of negotiations and preparing the groundwork for its rollout. At the same time, a more assertive and secure Europe is a central theme, particularly in the realm of defense and security. Denmark is now a full participant and is keen to strengthen the Union's capacity to act as a credible security provider. This renewed focus on defense also involves strengthening the EU's resilience against hybrid threats, including disinformation and cyber attacks. Ensuring the Union is not just prosperous, but also safe and secure. Another critical file on Denmark's agenda is migration. The European Union has been grappling for years to find a common approach to managing asylum and migration. Denmark intends to inject pragmatism into the debate, focusing on implementing the Pact on Migration and Asylum. Denmark's role will be to guide member states through turning this agreement into reality. Denmark's stance on migration is one of the strictest in the EU. The presidency will likely focus on strengthening partnerships with countries of origin and transit. On the economic front, Denmark's priority is to safeguard the EU's long-term competitiveness. This means pushing for a robust single market, the cornerstone of European prosperity. They will also champion a forward-looking trade agenda, seeking to advance negotiations on new trade agreements. Finally, ensuring sound public finances and economic stability will be a key focus. By promoting a pragmatic economic agenda focused on competitiveness, open trade, and stable finances, Denmark aims to steer the Union towards sustainable growth. All right, let's tackle that confusing riddle. The European Union actually has 4 key figures who are all, in some sense, a president. First, the President of the European Commission, the EU's head of government. Next, the President of the European Parliament, the Speaker of the House. Then we have the President of the European Council. This president chairs the meetings of the 27 national leaders of the EU member states. Finally, there's the President of the European Central Bank, or ECB. The ECB president is Europe's top banker, responsible for managing the euro. So you have a political executive, a parliamentary speaker, a diplomatic deal maker, and a top central banker, all called president. No wonder it gets confusing. With multiple presidents, how do they not overlap? Their powers are distinct. The Commission President, currently Ursula von der Leyen, wields executive power. She and her commissioners draft legislative proposals. The Parliament President, currently Roberta Metsola, holds legislative authority. The Parliament is the EU's elected body. Along with the Council, the Parliament approves new laws. The European Council President, Charles Michel, exercises strategic leadership, brokering political deals. The rotating presidency manages the legislative process from the member states' perspective. It's a dance of shared power. How might Denmark's consensus-driven governance influence its EU Council term? Danish politics values consensus, requiring minority governments to build broad coalitions. This emphasis on compromise and negotiation is seen as a strength. Danish politicians excel at finding common ground and building lasting agreements. This skill set is valuable in the EU's complex environment, where diverse national interests must be reconciled. Denmark's political DNA makes it a natural, honest broker. The presidency demands listening to all sides and building support for compromise. Danish diplomats are skilled at building bridges, understanding that progress is incremental. This pragmatic approach can unblock stalled legislative files. A focus on fairness and practical outcomes can de-escalate tensions on contentious issues. Denmark facilitates solutions, creating an atmosphere where concerns are heard. This quiet diplomacy can forge unity on challenging priorities. Denmark's unique position, committed to the single market but with opt-outs, gives it credibility. It understands diverse perspectives, acting as a bridge between different EU factions. This balanced view and consensus-driven culture positions Denmark for an effective EU presidency. Can the Danish model of governance be scaled up to the European level? The challenges are immense. The number of actors and the diversity of political cultures in the EU are on a completely different scale. However, the core principles of the Danish approach, transparency, dialogue, and a focus on workable solutions are universally valuable. The Danish presidency has an opportunity to demonstrate that evidence-based policymaking and clear communication can build trust. Denmark is renowned for its well-oiled and transparent public sector. Applying this ethos to the Council's work could have a significant impact. A well-managed presidency can significantly accelerate the pace of legislative work. If Denmark can successfully broker deals, it will have provided a powerful proof of concept. It will have shown that a small nation, armed with pragmatism and consensus, can indeed lead Europe effectively. What should we expect as Denmark steers the Council? The immediate future will be a critical test of its pragmatic, quiet leadership style against some of Europe's most formidable challenges. On trade, expect Denmark to push for progress on agreements with partners like Mercosur and Australia, framing open and rules-based trade as essential for European competitiveness and strategic autonomy. In defense, the focus will be on implementation and capability building, encouraging greater cooperation. On border policy, the implementation of the new Migration and Asylum Pact will dominate the agenda. Denmark's term is a subtle but important experiment. Can a style based on consensus, pragmatism, and efficiency shift the EU's political balance towards tangible results? The next 6 months will provide the answer. Denmark's EU presidency demonstrates quiet leadership through pragmatism and consensus. They are demonstrating influence by focusing on key challenges, from the green transition to the migration pact. Their strategy breaks down issues into manageable components, building agreement step by step. This patient diplomacy keeps the European Union turning. It proves a small nation can steer Europe with skill, offering an alternative to larger powers. The Danish presidency reminds us that enduring power comes not from shouting, but listening. And that was all for today's video on how Denmark is quietly taking the lead in Europe. If you found this breakdown eye-opening, I recommend you watch my next video, which complements this one perfectly. Subscribe to Geo Capitalist, where we decode global wealth, one power shift at a time. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.